Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, October 19th meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. Before we get started, just a couple things. Any electronic devices or cell phones, if you could please silence them or turn them off, we greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're here to speak on any of the applications tonight, and we encourage you to do so, we just ask that you take the podium, speak into the microphone, give your name for the recording secretary. If you have to leave the podium for anything, to point something out on a plan or whatever, take the mic with you. We are being recorded by FCTV, and the people at home are what that microphone is for. Okay, so first up is minutes for October 5th, 2016. I need a motion to table this until next week. We have a couple of corrections.
I make a motion to table.
Second.
Okay, motion by Maury to table, second by Betsy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Okay, request for determination of applicability. This is the lesser of the two applications. What you want to hear is a negative determination. A positive means that you probably need more information or you might have to go to the next level. So first up is Mark Bedrosian, 147 Lakeview Ave, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to demolish the existing house and septic tank. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until October 26th. I don't have any.
So moved.
with me. Second.
So on the request of the applicant, continue to October 26th.
26th.
Motion by Courtney, second by Betsy. Any other comments or questions from the board? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Pauline O'Keefe, Lot 3A, Francis Ave, map 47C-05-030-003A, and Lot 11, Swing Lane, map 47-05-011-011, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to construct and maintain single-family house with front entry to install new Title V sewage disposal system, driveway, dry wells, utilities, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this,
Rising to the occasion.
we're recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not
So
confirmed.
moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Courtney and a second by Mary. Any other comments, questions from the board? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Steamship Authority, care of Rebecca Scalasi?
Skolaski.
Thank you. 1 Railroad Ave, Woods Hole, Mass, for permission to remove the existing timber sheathing from Dolphin Head Fence 2 in slip number 2, dispose of all material and replace with a new timber sheathing as specified. Jen?
I'll recuse
Okay.
this.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so -2, motion by Courtney, second by Jamie. So everybody except Betsy. Although, any other comments, questions from the board? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Teresa Cancelleri, 31, Bywater Court, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to install the selected buffer plantings to comply with expired order of conditions DEP 25-1537. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Courtney and a second by Mary. Comments, questions from the board?
Maury.
Who?
That was Maury.
Oh, it's Maury?
Yeah,
I'm
doesn't
sorry,
matter.
it's Maury, Susan.
I think there's somebody.
Mr. Chairman.
Comments, questions from the board? Sir?
Okay, Mike Ball from Marsh Matters Environmental. I'm here representing the applicant, Teresa Cancellieri, 31 Bywater Court. The reason we're here before you is ultimately this is a property where an order of conditions was issued in 1991, almost 25 years to the day, to add on to an existing residence. The 3 years after 3 years, the project was completed, the order of conditions expired. The project was completed, but the buffer strip that was required as a special condition of the order was never planted. The owner of the property, Teresa's father, has passed away, and the children of Mr. Cancelleri are now in the process of a real estate transaction. Okay. Before that can happen, they must get a certificate of compliance on the property. So I was asked to help them through this process and help facilitate the planting of the buffer strip. Now, because the order of conditions is expired, there's no instrument to allow the work to go forward. So in conversations with staff, we have decided to submit an RDA proposing specifically the species that will be planted and how big that area would be to comply with the special condition. The special condition required a 10-foot wide buffer strip from property line to property line. And so what you have in your packets, I hope, is my letter, a planting plan that the applicants put together, an existing conditions plan done by BSS, which shows the current conditions on the property. And if I could, I did print out something that might help clarify what we're proposing. Is that okay to submit this?
That's fine, Mike.
Okay.
And I have your email that your correspondence with Alex and Mark yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you-
they don't
Do you know
have a
what a
packet.
negative determination means? That means you're
Mike knows.
passed.
So everything that's proposed
It's okay.
is
Well,
okay?
with the agreement of the email on the 18th.
Okay, so we
yeah.
can just follow up with staff and come to
Yeah.
an agreement?
Yeah.
And then, okay.
That's fine.
I did know a negative, but
Negative.
I thought I was on.
You were up, 'cause you were up.
Exactly. You-
We
Okay,
have
so we'll-
certain members eager to watch the debate tonight,
I
so
sense that.
thank you, Mike.
All right, so I'll just. be
Just
in
follow
touch
up with
you guys.
Alex and or Mark, and
Okay.
that'd be great.
Perfect.
We wanted to give you a chance to present. You were up there
Did-
ready.
Can I have, did you get a copy of that for the record, Betsy?
Nice to
have
see
what
you
you
again,
were-
Mike.
You were gonna pass out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just for the record, one would be perfect.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mike.
That's just some
Thank you.
clarification. Okay,
Thanks.
thank you
I
very
think we
much.
have to vote.
Don't you wanna hear the vote? We haven't taken the vote yet.
Oh, go right ahead.
Any other comments or questions from the public? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you again, Mike.
Mark and Evelyn Peralt, 57 Madeline Ave, East Falmouth, Mass, for permission to resurface the existing driveway as shown on the plot plan. Jim?
Yes, we're recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So move.
Second.
Same time, flip the vote.
Motion by Courtney, second by Mary. Comments, questions from the board? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Daniel Volak and Joyce Myers, 53 Quonset Road, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to repair the existing stone steps and walls, including repointing and replacing or resetting stone stair treads, installing a 10-foot by 12-foot stone patio to replace the removed wooden deck and to install mitigation plantings. Jim?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we are recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Courtney, second by Mary. Comments, questions from the board? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. J. Stein, 80 G, Little Island Road, West Falmouth, Mass, for permission to vista prune the shrub layer. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we are recommending a +3 under the bylaw and a +4 under the state with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So move.
Second.
Do you want to know why?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Because before you issued them a vista pruning permit in 2012, and it far exceeded what was given permission for. So basically, in order to do the work again, we would like to see a notice where we could have monitoring requirements to make sure that the vista pruning is actually done in accordance with your regulations.
thanks, Jen.
No problem.
Okay, so we have a motion by Courtney and a second by Mary.
Could I just make a comment?
Yes, you may.
The recommendation on the sheet here is negative. So that should probably, I don't,
No, it isn't.
no.
It's positive.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I on?
You're on the wrong one.
Sorry.
Jay Stein.
Okay,
Yeah,
any other
okay.
comments,
Excuse
questions from the
me,
board? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Comments, questions from the public, sorry. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. David and Kathleen Bryson, 502 West Falmouth Highway, West Falmouth, Mass., for permission to pump, fill, and abandon the existing cesspools and install 2 new Title V sewage disposal systems for the existing house and cottage, and to loam and seed the disturbed areas after completion. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we are recommending a -2 under the state in the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed. Yeah.
So move.
Second.
So a motion by Courtney, second by Mary. Any other comments, questions from the board? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Continued request for determination of applicability. George Crocker, these have been read into the record, so I'm just going to do the name and the address. George Crocker, 29 Charles River Road, Wacoit, Mass. Jen?
Yes, this is for the install new Title V, and we were recommending a -2 under the bylaw and -3 under the state with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So move.
Second.
Okay, so we got Betsy and Maury. I have a question. Jim, why did this came up 2 or 3 times? How come it took so long? What was the holdup?
Mike and Mark were going back and forth on the plans.
Oh, okay. Right, so both are the same, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All those, any other comments, questions from the board? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. George Crocker, 29 Charles River Road, Wacoit, Mass. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we are recommending a -2 under the state in the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed. And once again, Mark and Mike were going back and forth with the plans.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Courtney, a second by Maury.
Yeah.
Comments, questions from the board? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. All
Aye.
those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Tom Risotto, 190 Edgewater Drive East, East Falmouth, Mass., for permission to redevelop and expand the existing rear patio, add an outdoor shower, construct a new second-floor addition, install a second patio in the front of the house, install cobblestones along the driveway, and replace the existing driveway surface with shells, plant ornamental shrubs, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we are recommending a -2 under the state in the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion by Courtney and a second by Mary. Comments, questions from the board? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. All
Aye.
those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved.
Mr. Chairman, continue with the hearing. I just have to run downstairs and grab something.
Okay.
Sorry.
Next up is a request for a hearing under a notice of intent. All hearings under the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. Okay, so first up is Alicia Quinlan, Lot 57B, Hummingbird Hill Road, map 14-04-007-057B, North Falmouth, Mass., for permission to remove the existing barn structure and construct a new 3-bedroom, single-family house with attached garage, install a new Title V sewage disposal system, driveway, retaining wall, catch basins, utilities, PVC pipes, connecting downspouts with infiltrators, native shrub plantings, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. And I would normally say Jen here, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say good evening, Tom.
Good evening,
How are you?
board. The record name is Tom Bunker, of BSS Design. Prepared this plan for Alyssa Quinlan She has an outstanding order of conditions on this project. It's been extended a couple of times. That order of conditions has there's some conditions in there which needed to be addressed before a building permit could be issued anyway. This plan has addressed those issues. We have is a property, the only structure on it is a barn, an old barn, which is no longer used. It's back in the 70s, 80s. It is on there still. It's on the road here. One roads that it fronts on is Edge Hill Road, and this is on the edge of a hill. The bottom of the hill is a vernal pool with a little surrounding vegetated wetland. The two orange lines on there, the inner one is the A zone of the wetland, the outer one is the A zone 100-foot buffer of the vernal pool. The existing barn is partly inside the vernal pool habitat and also within part of the wetland habitat. The proposal here is to remove the barn. There's a level area on which the barn sits and then a sloping area that goes up toward the lot line. The proposal is to remove the barn from the site, from within the A and the B zones of the pool and the wetland, and build a four-bedroom house and septic system. This property slopes down from the road somewhat to the level area where the barn is. So the upper area, there'll be a retaining wall that will hold up the driveway and the septic system up in this location above the retaining wall. And the garage will come in from the top of the retaining wall level, elevation about 70, I believe, and there'll be a lower level, which will be at the ground level of where the barn is now. All of the structure, proposed structure is outside the D zone of the vernal pool as required in one of the conditions. We still have some of the structure deck in the B zone of the wetland, because the A zone is totally vegetated, there is no mitigation planting required. But that being said, another condition in the old order is that a fence be installed, a split rail fence, be installed along this A zone line of the vernal pool, which is shown on the plan. And this old, previously disturbed area, after construction of the house, be vegetated with native shrubs in here. So there's 577 square feet of native planting in this location. There is no mitigation planting required for this work. Pursuant to the existing order conditions, from this face of the house, there'll be no egress out to limit any ground level activity directly adjacent to the vernal pool habitat. But we do have decks which are, above, up on the first floor elevation, and they do come close to the fence, which is marking off the habitat which will be planted. But of course, anybody walking through here for maintenance can walk under the deck, and being on the deck will not infringe on that vernal pool habitat. The septic system's up here, the tank. We do have the drainage contained at the top level of this retaining wall. There are a couple of drain inlets here, which will be carefully down in pipe and perforated pipe in a stone trench. We'll come over to some infiltrators, and the same with all the roof runoff coming from the uphill side. We'll come into those infiltrators surrounded by stone in this location. There'll be, no runoff down into the vent, into the vernal pool. I believe this meets all the requirements, meets all the conditions that were in the previous notice of intent. When all is said and done, the vernal pool habitat will be totally revegetated with native shrubs, and there will be no impervious surface in that vernal pool habitat. As I said, it will be slightly in the B zone of the wetland, but there's no mitigation planting required. With that, I'll take any of your questions.
Thanks, Tom. Jen?
I have a couple of questions, Tom. Why is it such a larger structure than was previously proposed?
I actually hadn't noticed that it was larger. I just started again and drew it on. It doesn't go into the habitat. And that was one of your questions.
How are you going to construct it without altering the habitat? You are literally
That
not even a foot
No,
from
no,
that vernal pool
the
habitat.
previously disturbed area we will use during construction. See where it has have the limit of work. There's nothing growing in there during construction. Then we'll plant it afterwards.
You've been out there, right?
I have.
So you know where you have that previously disturbed, it's like a slope, sort of.
It goes out and there's a little bit, but it's flat.
That's,
Well, right in front of the barn,
okay.
it's pretty
We
flat.
were out there this morning. Okay, I have another question. What level are your decks on?
The first floor, are elevation 70.
Elevation 70.
Upper
So they're at the
69.
ground level?
Not at the ground level.
Okay, they're elevation 70. So how far off the ground are they?
2 feet.
About 7 feet.
7 feet. So you're going to have that fence going right underneath them.
No, it's outside of it.
How far?
About 2 feet. And there's like, right through here, well, you can walk under the deck. Before it was in the vernal pool habitat, now it's not.
What was before it was in vernal
The
pool?
proposed house. And it was one of your conditions to get all the structure out of the vernal pool habitat.
The reason I ask this is I'm going through a similar project in North Falmouth where the house is being constructed, and I was just contacted by the fence company and said, well, we can't possibly put the fence here, it's only 2 feet away from the house. Well, that fence was clearly shown on the plan, and I'm telling the fence company that maybe the builder should have either altered the size of the house or thought about that when he built it. So I do not want whomever owns this property to come to us afterwards if this board issues a favorable order and says, well, the fence is just right underneath the deck and there's nothing we can do, because I'll have you remove the deck. This is an enormous structure, and yes, you are technically out of the vernal pool habitat, but you are going to alter that vernal pool habitat with the sheer construction of this project. This is an incredibly tight site that you have, and to put that size structure in this area, I do have incredible concerns with.
Well, we do
That
have,
said, I mean, if you can do it, that's fine, but you're gonna have a really tight site, and you are pretty much maximizing every absolute little, coming down to 2 feet, 2 feet, the size of this plant from your structure of your house to your fence.
right, on the deck.
Okay.
The deck post.
Well, how far is it from the house?
There is, the closest point of the house is 6 feet.
6 feet. Okay. And you think that that's adequate for maintenance around the house and everything like that?
Yes. That point, it's at a point where it's 6 feet. And
I have another question, Tom, and I don't mean to be like harping on this, but would you want to have that on your property?
if that was all I had,
Well, no, you could shrink the size of the structure to make the flow around the house a little bit better, instead of pushing up right against to the boundary of that.
Right, but they can walk around, like I said.
Okay, well, I'm just, those are my
This-
concerns, because
this
you know how
much
I, and this
And
would have
they
been
can walk
limited
under the
work.
decks to get through, and it was in your previous order, you don't want egress out from this side.
No,
You don't want people using this, except sometimes there'll be some maintenance. And of course, maintenance, they can do easily from the decks themselves too. They can set a ladder up on the deck to get to higher levels. It actually makes it easier for maintenance to have those decks there.
okay. How many trees are you taking out?
One that's in or near your,
How many trees are you limbing?
am I limbing? Well, probably a bunch that are not in your jurisdiction.
No, I'm talking about on the vernal pool side. Again, I was out there today, and I stood right under a whole bunch of trees, and I'm looking up, and Betsy and I are trying to figure out the grading on this, and I'm like, okay, these trees are gonna be so severely pruned that they may not survive, so I'm gonna ask again, how many
I didn't look
trees?
at the living aspects.
Yeah, I think you better go out and look at the limbing, because you're gonna be severely limbing some of those trees, and they may not survive. So I would like to know how many are not gonna survive. When you start getting all your construction equipment in there, and you start putting your staging up and everything like that, you just got a really tight site. And I hadn't been out there for a while, and I was like, oh, yeah, I remember this. And I do have concerns with the fence right up against your house, like that deck, whatever. I just think it's too close, and that just as a result of the conversation I just had with a local fence company on another project. And it's, I understand you're trying to maximize the square footage on the property and get the biggest house you can in there, but, again, I don't know how to drive, let's think practically. Is it realistic to actually have this happen and be able to maintain and work on the house if needed, and is it functional? So that's my only question. Some of the builders on the board might disagree with me, and that's fine if they have a different view that it would be okay and have seen this before, that's fine. I'm concerned about all the trees out there. So I would ask that you go back and just kind of stand underneath them and look up and see how many of them have to come down from a realistic point of view, Okay, thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Jen. Courtney?
Just a big house.
I'll hold my questions for now.
Good.
Maury?
I had a couple, Tom. Why are you having the reserve next to each perforated pipe leach field?
That's one way of doing it. If you have the pipe trenches 3 times the width apart, 2-foot trench, 6 feet apart, the reserve area can go between the primaries.
Well, the reason I'm asking what that's done is it's extended that whole septic system, leach field, right closer to the vernal pool habitat than necessary if you would just put the reserve near there, near the wall.
It actually is, it's more efficient this way because one aspect of calculating the leaching areas with sidewall and pipe trenches count more sidewall. And frankly, this is the only way I could fit this in.
I understood the pipe trenching with the sidewall, but the fact that if the reserve was closer to, was in one section and the leach field was in a section, instead of row, reserve, leach.
Leaching trenches have to be 3 times their width apart. Anyway, it's just when they are 3 times, so they're 6 feet between.
So there would be no benefit to separate them, okay. The next thing that really concerned me, you're showing this enormous poured concrete wall. And the footing itself is 4 foot. So it's 2 foot toward the vernal pool. You have 5 feet from the edge of that wall to the vernal pool line. You're digging 2 feet closer, so you're really only 3 feet from the vernal pool line. And nobody can surgically cut a footing like that. It's going to be an overdig. And in the soils, I mean, I looked at the soils, we all know what's out there, you look at the boulder when you go into the site. The excavation could easily turn into an encroachment into the vernal pool when they get in there. I think it's totally unrealistic to put a piece of equipment 2 feet digging down. What was the distance down, elevation 57 for the bottom of the footing up to elevation 70? So this wall is like 20 feet tall, right? 15 feet tall? How tall is this wall?
At one point, it's 6 feet, well, there's backfill above that. 6 feet to 70, so it's about 10 feet.
Yeah, a 10-foot wall.
Yeah.
It's a huge
At
excavation.
one point, yeah.
At one point, you're right. Well, the one point you gotta get there. And this lot is so compromised, and we usually don't even let you put the limit of work. The limit of work is in the vernal pool habitat. And I know the barn is there now, that little teeny piece of barn, but I'm not comfortable giving you any more of that vernal pool habitat. You know,
Yeah,
put the limit of work around the barn and get rid of it, and then that, I mean, but we can deliberate on that. All right, so that was major question. And then the other thing, I think, from what Jen said, and it's more than one tree, because you have, I think the poplar cluster's going and the cherry tree's going, am I correct?
Right, but I'm saying they're not in your jurisdiction.
Okay, that's all I have for right now, and I don't think it's realistic. Oh, and, one more. I'm sorry, it was on the other page. Why are you putting the drainage, again, 4 foot off actually, yeah, 4 foot off the limit of work? And I don't even think it's, for the vernal pool habitat, I think it's only 2 feet. 2 foot in that corner. Am I correct?
Actually, no,
Is it 2 feet?
like 2 or 3 feet.
Yeah, 2 to
from
3
the
feet.
From the vernal, from the edge of that,
Yeah, where the little
infiltrator
square
to
is.
the limit of work. And less than,
1 foot. No.
yeah, it's a 1 to 10 scale, so it's
That-
like that corner is 1 foot
It's 1
from.
foot.
1 foot. And when you look at the soils here, this is a total
That's
strip
this.
out on this property. It's this long that you're gonna dig. You're gonna surgically dig, because everybody's excavator does that. And you're gonna dig down, it's all unsuitable soil, so you've gotta strip out. And again, I don't know how this is gonna work. I think it's asking a lot of this board. But anyway, that's just my concern.
Thanks, Maura. Mary?
In the narrative, you say that an easement is going to be created. I'm wondering, has that been granted?
It technically can't be granted because Lisa Quinlan owns both properties.
Oh,
But if one or the other lots were to be sold, it would be granted. You can't grant an easement to yourself.
okay. I guess I don't know the answer, but what, if it's being done now and she owns both lots, is it necessary to have an easement?
For future, the only way to access, realistically, obviously, the only way to access the back of any equipment, even for mowing,
No.
no lawn, but it's to get around the backside.
I meant in a legal sense, if she's the owner of both properties.
If she were to retain ownership of both properties, there'd be no need for an easement.
Uh-huh.
But if she were to build a house and here and sell the other one, or vice versa, then there would be an easement.
Okay, well, in any case, she's able to grant the easement. so. All right. Thank you. Yes, thanks.
Thank you. Betsy?
I'll tell you what my concerns are.
Okay.
This is like many of the vernal pools in town, that over the years, people have wanted a bigger space, and so they've taken excess dirt from wherever it comes from, and they've pushed it down the bank. And so the area, first of all, the first area that Maury was talking about, where you're planning to put this wall, I suspect it's not all that stable, because it's, yeah, it is possible, because it's where they've shoved, I mean, that isn't an area that I'm worried about it being too bony. I'm also worried about doing work, this boulder's maybe like an iceberg, right? We don't know that this might be the tip and it might be 10 times bigger underneath, or maybe it's not. And if you were to undermine and it's not,
Well, I figured, I mean, there's ways to do that, and I figured the first thing somebody would do would be probably dig a little tunnel under there and actually put concrete underneath it
To
start,
stabilize it?
To stabilize it if they were nervous about it. You
is
know.
that part of your, was that part of your submission? That
No.
You
it's
would
not-
want to
not for the
stabilize
submi-
that?
Not for the submission here, it's again, it's outside all your habitats.
Yeah,
I
but
know.
I would hate for that to go in and
You don't
damage
want
the
that in
house.
You don't want that in the pool.
I don't care if that's in the pool,
No.
it's what's between that and the pool that I'm concerned about. And we did, when Jen and I happened to be together, we happened to meet and went at both sites. And I said, you know, I'm always interested in the cut and fill. And I kind of looked and I said, aha. I said, you're going to cut where the house is, right? You're going to cut into that bank. But you're going to fill
At the back of the house, yeah.
where the garage is to make that level higher, right? So have you done cut and fill? Is it a net?
I haven't calculated that.
Maybe it's a
Okay.
the last
I'm,
one.
I'm concerned with the stability when you do this. I mean, this is going to be a big structure.
Frankly, with the, you know, the soil types, it'd be more of that coming out and being taken away and bring back, you know, sand, you know, well draining fill. So, you know, in a way, the cut and fill numbers don't really matter. That'd be because of the material, the unsuitable material would be excavated and removed.
Right, where there happens to be unsuitable material,
The garage is overgrade, actually.
right, rather than when people.
It's overgrade, not undergrade, the garage. So you won't be cutting
It'll be-
out to
it'll
make
be
the
filled.
garage, you'll be filling to put it in.
No, I know that.
Okay, so
I
the
know
garage
that.
is up, it's not
I
digging
understand
under.
that. I had a lesson from Mattello about cut and fill. He has a beautiful program where we could see how much turns, well, I'm not even gonna say red and blue tonight. A couple of other questions. What kind of, I mean, maybe you have this here, but is the driveway gonna be paved?
It is.
Says
because,
Okay, that's what I couldn't, all right.
She is somewhat handicapped, and so it will have to be accessible.
Another question. See where it says slab, one-car garage, slab, foundation walls?
Yeah.
What are all those little squares?
Um,
That little checkerboard,
This
Yeah, it's a paving pattern of some sort.
okay? That's all I have for now. Thank you.
paving pattern.
Thanks, Betsy. Jamie?
Two things, one, just curiosity, you have infiltrators for drainage in lieu of individual dry wells. Is that the idea of that?
Yeah.
And that's about the best place for it?
It
As
is
close
the
as it
best
is.
place on there I could find, and the entire, if you look at the bottom side, the entire pipe is perforated pipe in a trench, in a stone-filled trench, so there's actually infiltration going on all the way along the bottom of the lower side of the house. That's
So
all perforated pipe
where's he
is in
digging that?
a stone-filled trench.
Where are you digging that?
Oh, okay.
All the dry wells.
Where are you digging that trench?
Shown on the, right here,
Oh, okay, sorry, I keep looking at the other
the
plan.
wall there.
I'd like to see the plantings tightened up. You have 4 foot on center. That would mean I'd rather see larger size and closer cluster.
And I thought, because it's not required mitigation planting, we all know that you plant them 3 feet on center, and 3/4 of them die eventually, as they get larger.
Tom,
Yes?
it may not be required under your buffer regulations, but it is required under vernal pool regulations that you improve the site.
And that's what we're doing.
Yes. And Jamie wants them tightened up.
Yes.
Thank you.
What are you gonna plant there? Pretty shady.
Viburnum, aronia, the shade plants.
Of course, right.
Jamie, we usually condition it in the order of conditions that they be 3 feet on center, so we'll tighten them up. 2 to 3 feet, 2 to 3 gallon containers, 3 feet on center. And we'll get some pretty shade tolerant plants that are going to be required to be put in there.
Basically, it would be similar to what's in this woodland already. It's called huckleberry.
Yeah, keep it consistent to what's out there.
It's a beautiful woodland.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you, Jen, there's some issue with trees. I noticed in particular, there was one real leaner of an oak, which is surely gonna have to go. It's just, I mean, it's horrible, it's leaning at this point right over the, in front of the barn, but it looks, and it's down on the hill a little ways. And nobody would want that up there for safety reasons, if nothing else.
Yeah.
It would have to go. So you probably ought to go out there and tag everything.
Take a closer look.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot about vernal pool habitats. I don't buy that. I think, I mean, you're 100 feet away from the edge of the pool, you're about 30 feet up. Nothing up here is growing that's wetland or vernal pool habitat kind of fauna or flora. We're on the side of a hill.
Actually,
She's
Mark,
slowing
there
it down.
are
So,
studies that.
There's certainly no practical issue regarding vernal pool habitat. There may be, quote, a legal issue within 100 feet, but you're not legal.
What about where the organisms are
Where they
during the
overwinter.
non-reproductive season?
Yeah, they
Well, 100
overwinter.
feet away and 50 feet up. They're
They-
pretty far
they
away
go-
from there.
I have vernal pool organisms, you know where I live, in my yard, and I'm a quarter mile from a vernal pool.
Mark, there have been studies out there that show that certain vernal pool species can overwinter almost 300 feet away from their actual
Yes, they do.
pools. So what that vernal pool habitat is doing is encompassing all that to protect the overwintering areas for the species that live in these vernal pools. And if you'd like, I can get you some of those studies.
That's interesting.
Well, weren't you at Mashpee Concom? Doesn't Mashpee have a 300-foot?
Well, how
No.
far is Mashpee?
We would never even consider this.
Somewhere on the Cape there's a 300-foot buffer to
Not
vernal
Mashpee.
pools.
Tom, don't listen to this.
But I can get you those studies, so that's why, Mark, that we're worried about the habitat. It's not so much the pool, it's the overwintering sites of the organisms that live in the pool.
Oh, what recondition, it's time of year.
And once upon a time in Mashpee, I did work for a consulting firm that we did work in Mashpee, and we were held to a very high standard in vernal pools in Mashpee, so, but that was about 12 years ago.
Changed. I have nothing else.
Mary?
I expect that, that you probably went through this the last time with the OOC, but just in case it's not in the record, do we know when the barn was built?
I would say, one of my sister's friends, you know about horses in the neighborhood more, there's in the 70s, maybe, that's the best I can guess at the moment.
Do you know if that's in the record from the last time?
I don't know, but we can put the old record into this record if you want, the existing record into this, we can incorporate that in. I do recommend a continuance, and I don't want to drag this out for you, Tom, but I do want you to go out there and give me a realistic, on how many trees are gonna have to go. And it's real easy, you just stand under them and look up. And say, oh yeah, that one's gonna have to come down when I'm building a huge house, so. If you could just let me know how many trees are gonna have to come down, that would be great. And do a little bit more research, because I don't know off the top of my head if it's in the old record about when that barn was constructed, but it might be helpful.
Yeah, it would be nice to have documentation.
75
Okay.
down topo, but I'm
Okay.
not sure, not positive.
Do I get another little town topo colored in? Yes, oh, great.
It's almost Christmas time.
It's almost Christmas.
Just real quick, I share Maury's concern about this retaining wall. It's gonna have a lot of overdig. I don't care how you slice it. I don't care how surgical the excavator is. And this is bony soil, and that's gonna mean finding rocks that, get in the way. And in some other projects where we've had similar tight excavation up against limits of work, we've required temporary sheet piling and to be installed so that so that it doesn't cause the thing to cave in. So that might be something for you to look at when you're during your period of continuance.
That actually might not be a bad idea, because you were concerned about the soils in that area when we were out there. Did you go out there and probe out there at all, Tom, where this wall is?
Not where the wall's going, no. I mean, we did the perk test.
Yeah, you may want to go poke around to where that wall is, because when we were out there, Betsy had some concerns just looking at it. It just looked unstable.
Maureen?
I just had one more question.
Tighten
Are
up
we
the plan.
also asking for how much fill?
Cut and fill,
The cut and
yes.
fill counts? And the last question I have is, was this once one lot?
No.
Okay, it's always been two. Okay, and then the last question, I'm sorry, that wasn't the last one. For the setback from the road, it's 10 feet? Is that,
For a septic,
no, for the house?
house 25.
No, this house is 10 feet from the lot
Yeah,
line.
it sure looks that way.
Lot line is 10.
Oh, lot line, road is
Lot line
25,
10,
okay,
Road is 25.
okay. And then the last, what was the old size of the old order of conditions house?
You know, I don't-
Well, we have the old file, it's gonna be in the record, so it's part of the record now.
Just one quick question. Those little, is that like a little patio there next to that slab?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's what Betsy is.
okay.
It's really just the judge, I didn't have a label. In there where it says, well, I say slab, that's part of the house, but it has to be a slab because it's within 20 feet of the septic system.
Oh,
There
okay.
can't be a basement there.
Okay,
That's why it's called slab, like the garage, but that's what the door would be.
yeah, that's the front door and everything, okay. Could you get this done by the 2nd? If we like next week, or is that pushing it? You would do rather the 9th?
The 9th.
The 9th? Okay.
The request of the applicant, I move that we continue the hearing until November 9th.
Second.
So we have a motion by Mary and a second by Maury. Any comments or questions?
I have another comment.
Go ahead,
Not to mention, what are you doing about runoff from the driveway?
Good question.
It's draining this direction.
I can't tell which way. You're pointing towards the hill or away from the hill?
Toward the vernal pool.
Towards the
the
hill.
vernal pool, but towards the retaining wall, I should say.
Yes?
I have drain inlets, 2 drain inlets, one here and one over here. I have a note that a drain inlet and a pipe goes through the wall and carry it down to the appropriate height.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, questions?
What did we say, November 9th?
Yes.
Correct. Comments, questions from the public? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for a vote to continue to November 9th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion's unanimous, so moved.
Thanks, Tom.
I haven't seen a shitty one like that.
Next up is Chamberlain Shellfish Farms, Nantucket Sound, latitude 4133, 05.16, longitude 70, 32, 45.38, East Falmouth, Mass. With permission to install shellfish aquaculture farm off Washburn Island, approximately 1 acre, rectangular shape in size, that includes approximately 10 lines of chain, along with cages, bags, spread equally apart. Jen?
Hang on, I just went, doing something. Oh, cool, then you have it. I was like, I thought I was doing something to have.
a little dark, take a nap.
We're at the end of the slideshow.
My name's Glenn Chamberlain. I'm going to tell you a little bit about a proposed shellfish aquaculture site. Who's going to do it? Well, there we go. Okay. So a little bit about the site. So the proposed site is in East Falmouth, in the waters of the Nantucket Sound. I'll show you a map on the next slide. I'll show you two right now, then go back. So just a bird's eye view of where the site's going to be, at the mouth of Beale River, in Nantucket Sound waters, off of Wood Bay. This only goes one way.
Do you want me to do that?
Jen,
I can do that.
Sorry.
You just have to get me all set up though.
Okay.
Because for some reason I'm really bad at this.
Go up to slideshow
From beginning.
from beginning.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So the site's about 400 feet from shore at its closest point. The nearest shoreline being the southwest corner of Washburn Island. The site's bounded on its western border by a man-made rock groin that at one point was attached to the shore, but it's washed away over time. There's two other rock groins in line kind of moving towards the east from the one that I'm proposing to put the site next to. There's also an existing shellfish farm bounding this site on the eastern side, the Weeks Shellfish Farm. The site is somewhat exposed to the south and southeast. It's in the subtidal zone, which means it's completely underwater at all times. It's never out of the water. It's anywhere from 4 to 7 feet under the water, depending on the tide. It's about 1 acre in size, and it's approximately rectangular in shape. Not just me.
All right. I don't know what's going on.
We'll click on next.
I'm trying.
Or the down arrow.
Okay.
Okay, so I showed you guys this map already, but it's a bird's eye view, so you can see where it is. Next slide.
Oh, there we go.
So this is
I
kind
got
of
the
a
hang of it. Thank you.
more
The
of
down
a close-in shot. Don't know how well you can see it. This is just from Google Earth, but this is the rock groin that we're proposing to set up next to. This is the rock groin that the existing shellfish farm that's right there is next to. And there's the third one off the east. Yep.
Are those rocks under the water at low tide, or
At low tide, they're exposed.
they are exposed? Are they marked in any way?
No.
Oh, and they've been a hazard to navigation for some people.
Exactly. And that's why it's a good site for oyster. So the site was chosen on several criteria. So it's low marine traffic, as you mentioned. There's already existing man-made structure that makes it difficult for boats to access the area. So it's a good site to limit recreational exposure. There's no commercial fisheries or shellfish populations out there. The state came out and did a survey this past summer to double check, but there's no commercial activity in this location. There's an existing farm nearby that's had success raising oysters in this area, so there's a proven track record of success. There's minimal recreational use of the butters compared to other sites in town. A lot of the ponds and other coastal areas in town are pretty well built up, so this is a relatively free zone as far as that goes. It's really protected from winds and tidal action due to the man-made structures. So as I said, it's somewhat exposed to the south and southeast, but for the available sites, it's pretty well protected with the jetty and the land masses nearby. It's accessible by a town landing with a small boat. Next slide, please. So site overview. So this is a rough maximum per year, depending on how many oysters survive to the next stage, each year of growth. So the first year, hopefully this spring, I'd have maximum of 166 or so bags out there with 100 to 200 oysters per bag growing. Year two, I'd roughly hope to double in size, so keep the oysters out there growing that have already started and start a second year class. Year three, probably not quite double, because there'll probably some nutrition and natural mortality and so forth, and hopefully sales. And so a little bit less than double. And then year four, hopefully have a good system going, have figured out how to raise oysters on that site, what works and what doesn't work, and hopefully be at max capacity. Next slide, please. So just a rough diagram of the layout of the oyster bags in line. It's not perfect, but Basically, each line of chain would be settled into the sand on the bottom, attached by auger anchors at intervals. You have either bags or cages. I'm guessing it'll probably be bags at the end of the day. It's locations are tied so strong. Bags are less susceptible to getting caught by the waves of current, but they'll be in a line either way attached clipped onto the chain. Next slide, please. So no lines or bungee cords will be used, so no vertical lines or bungee cords will be used to secure the gear. They'll just be clipped onto the chain directly. They'll be stored in the bags, as I said, clipped into the chain. Each chain will have a hot dipped auger anchor that's into the sand to hold it in place. Gear will be stored in my house, not at the site. So it'll be my backyard for me to look at, everybody else. The only visible portion of the site to people passing by on boats or looking from shore would be the corner marker buoys that are required by the town and the state, the Coast Guard, and the Army Corps. So the buoys, there are 4 buoys, one each corner. So one size like a lobster buoy emitter. No portion of the shellfish bags or securing system would be visible from overhead. The buoys will have a 500-pound weak link installed as required. It would be removed at the end of the growing season and stored at my house. No other buoys, floats, or markers would be used. So preparedness, so in the event that there was a major storm or hurricane predicted to hit the Cape and make landfall, I'd take the bags, oysters, and buoys out of sight 1 to 2 days before it's predicted to hit our area to avoid loss of product, loss of gear, hazardous navigation. All the gear would be moved to my house. Oysters and sea would be stored at an approved facility, so a DMR approved facility. After the storm, I'd submit a status report to the appropriate agencies in the town and the state to make sure they're apprised of what took place. And then at the end of each year, I'd remove all the product and gear from the water. So by Christmas, essentially, or New Year's each year, I'd take it out, and over winter, anything that wasn't sold at, again, an approved facility. And then everything I put back in the water in the spring, likely early April, depending on when the ice, if there was ice, when ice out was, what the weather conditions were like that year. Next slide, please. So as far as support, this Cape Cod extension on Cape, Roger Williams, who I took a course with Dana, I forget his name right now, but he's an expert in the field in New England, with oyster growing especially. I know several other growers in town that I've worked with in the past that have offered support in marketing and growing oysters. Falmouth DNR, as well as other associations and groups that are in the area that are active. Next slide, please. So as far as timeline, so as I said before, this spring and summer, it's just 2017, I'd like to be out there putting oyster seed in the water, so larger seed the first couple of years has a better chance of surviving, growing, and not dying on me, and setting up the gear and putting the seed out. I tend them at least twice a week, divide them according to size as they grow, harvesting anything that was of size, hopefully in the fall, maybe as long as December. In that first year, initially I've been planning to sell them through wholesalers as a sort of a bulk sale until I have a brand established, catchy name hopefully, to sell the oysters. Ideally market as many as possible locally, so on the Cape and Massachusetts, and then the remainder through wholesalers. As I said, everything else will pull out in late December. Next slide, please. So year 2, apply lessons learned from year 1, adjust growing strategies as needed, scale up operations, purchasing additional oyster seed and gear as needed. Year 3, more seed, hopefully get up to full-size operation if I can. If not, year 4, reach that full-scale operation, target of 60 to 80,000 oysters on the site for sale. I believe that was, I got one more slide. 2 more slides. So approvals that I have right now, so Falmouth DMR's expressed support, as well as the Harbor Master. Massachusetts Division of Fisheries has given conditional approval, pending approval by the Board of Selectmen, so waiting for that last hearing as well. The Board of Bureau of Underwater Archaeological Resources has approved as well. Conditional approval from the Board of Selectmen is the initial hearing. And I just received yesterday the approval from the Army Corps of Engineers, Coastal Zone Management, and another agency I'm forgetting.
More than you ever thought you'd have to do.
Exactly, yeah. As well as the Mashpee-Wampanoag tribe, just approved it too.
Although,
So,
they have that archaeological one too.
Yeah.
He has
He has
yeah,
that,
approval
that's
from them.
B whale.
Yeah.
And so pending the Coast Guard needs to notify them when the site is approved by the state to let them know where the corner buoys are, because they have to check it once a year. Army Corps, I've got EPA, I believe, signed off, as well as the Fisheries Service on the Army Corps permit. So I believe at this point I've left this Conservation Commission, Board of Selectmen, and the state issues a license. So in the home stretch. That's it.
Not quite.
All right. Anything
I don't
else?
have any questions. I've been working with Mr. Chamberlain for,
Yeah.
a year and a half to get it this far, so I'm very comfortable with the steps he's taking in the project as a whole.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Mark?
Yeah, do you have any concerns about getting buyers?
Buyers? No, like right now, the demand generally outstrips the supply. At this time of year, the market's flooded, but the remainder of the year, there's usually more buyers
I
than
mean,
supply.
you know, everybody's growing oysters now.
Yeah,
right?
it's-
So your business is going up, but I know Mashpee's going
Yeah.
great guns, Falmouth is going great, Wellfleet's going bananas.
Yeah,
I just always wonder, is there gonna be a market for all these oysters?
Yeah, there has been. It's been really strong. There's been a lot of renewed interest in the consumer side too. Because of oysters especially, it's almost turned into some of the people chew points, you know, it's just things get out.
Are you good wholesalers, so you don't have to move them yourselves, you don't have to carry them to the local restaurants, you can get
Right,
some
yeah, there's a
by
co-op.
100,000?
Exactly, yeah, there's a co-op in town I'm hoping to join that two of my friends are part of, and so I'm hoping to join them. And it's sort of a group effort, so people take turns to look at the product, checking each other's sites in town.
Some seeds, no problem.
Obtaining seed. This year will probably be hard to obtain larger stuff just because I'm not willing to put a deposit down until I know for sure I'm gonna, or roughly have a good idea it'll be approved, so I'll probably end up getting smaller seed than I'd like this year. But years to come, I should be able to get larger stuff.
What's that, Mark? Jamie?
Sorry if you already said this, but the second hearing for the selectmen.
When is it? I don't believe I can schedule it until after the Conservation Commission hearing.
And that's
Board
my
of
question.
Selectmen?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what happened is, we learned this a couple of years ago, the Board of Selectmen would not give approval for the license until they got approval from the Concom. Concom wasn't giving approval until they had a biological survey done either by a independent consulting firm or DMF's thing. So what we got the Board of Selectmen to agree to is give conditional approval. So DNF would go out and dive the site and save these guys some money from hiring a environmental consultant to do the dive, and then they go back for their final approval before the Board of Selectmen. This took a while to figure out, but we got it now.
Well, I have to say, between you and Chuck and the Board of Selectmen, you got a system down
Yeah.
rather quickly
Mhm.
when a flood of things came in a couple of years ago. And you gave an excellent presentation
Thank you.
on what the order is, and the only comment I have is good luck, and you have somebody important to take care of, two people important to take care of.
Three is not going home.
Yeah.
Babysitter. Helpers down the road, maybe.
Thanks, Betsy. Mary?
I noticed on your Form 3, you checked off that you've got estimated habitat.
Probably turns,
Pardon?
turns.
Do you have a letter from, have you received a letter from Natural Heritage?
I notified them, I sent them a copy of the NOI a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so they have, what, 30 days
They
or
have
something?
30 days, but if I remember, I told you
Right,
that
yeah.
timeframe, so we
Yeah.
may have to continue this until we get the letter from Natural Heritage. I can honestly say in that area, it's plovers and terns.
Okay, well, it's important.
I with confidence say it's plovers
Yeah.
and terns, but it is something that I did speak with Glenn about that we need, and the timing between the two agencies is different, so.
The other thing, I'm not sure about this, but the 25-foot buffer for the eelgrass, seems small to me. So I don't know if you could provide more than that without ruining the plans, but
Is it,
I also don't know, I should say, that whether this is an area where there's just this eelgrass, or if it has been advancing and improving, in which case I would certainly feel more strongly.
yeah, I mean, Chuck Martinson, he's the shellfish constable in town, he had me, there's a little bit of language in the narrative that says, it's a dynamic area where things are changing, I believe, on that map, the cut that's there, that next to the yacht club that comes out Eel River, that was not there, I think it was like 60 or 70 years ago, there's a hurricane that created that cut, and so, with the eelgrass, he knew it was there when I initially went for consultation formally with him in town, and said, basically, I want you to write in an acknowledgement in your letter to the town saying that you're aware that this could be a dynamic area where things change, you might have to shift your boundaries down the road. So that was kind of how we, thought of building in some flexibility.
Okay.
25 feet is certainly enough at this point in time. I mean, he's going to be diving right
Yeah,
on the
not,
site.
right, I understand.
And if it, we could put something in that if it's
Right.
within 10 feet. the
Yeah, it
next
should be
year,
conditioned.
Then it has to be
Yeah, we
moved.
can condition that.
Okay, that's all, thanks.
Maureen?
That was my only concern, and she just got the answer.
Thank you. Courtney?
No question.
All right.
All right, well, we need a couple of weeks. When did you send it to them? 2 weeks ago? Ish?
Ish, yeah,
Ish.
yeah, I've got this certified mail receipt. but-
So, 26, why don't we continue you to November 2nd?
Okay,
It gives them a little bit of time, and hopefully they'll have it by then.
okay,
They'll have their letter.
okay.
Okay, and you may want to come up with some language to submit about shifting the gear if the presence of eelgrass comes within 10 feet of the site.
Okay. Would that be in the narrative? Would it be?
Yeah, you can
Okay,
just
okay.
submit a supplemental
Revision.
letter or supplemental narrative. That's fine.
Jen, I had a question for you.
I
I think
may
I-
or may not have an answer.
I know, I think I've asked it before. With all these new, not some of them are new, like you, and there are some that we've done in the past. I'm curious, not concerned, but I'm just curious, the bottoms underneath all these places. There's one over in West Falmouth off of Nashawina that the town has, and they're big rafts. I mean, these aren't gonna be floating up in the air, they're
No,
gonna be
they're
underwater.
done.
But still, after that nice thing we had from Mr. Howes about oysters and the nitrogen that they actually do create and it doesn't leave and things like that. I'd just like to know with some of these sites if we could, it's a sandy bottom now, what happens, after 5 years or, just to maybe do some documentation so we have a better idea if it's a good benefit or.
I mean, I think we can condition that, because I know you have a couple of the shellfish guys that add annual reports to you that we have in the file, so maybe we could just add a bullet item that you just give us the condition of the bottom underneath the page. Yeah.
Well, we know nitrogen is, kills eelgrass, and if the oysters are close to eelgrass and they're, excrementing nitrogen to a large amount because it's in a very dense area. Will
This
it-
area, any problem would get flushed.
Yeah,
But-
well, we would hope.
But do you have an underwater camera?
But they also filter.
That'll work.
Perfect.
They create
We'll
nitrogen.
take no gravity out.
Okay, so,
Or
Every time.
he has a GoPro.
Good,
So
perfect.
if we just have a,
You'll be our guinea pig, thank you.
like using.
Just write that into your narrative, like your supplemental narrative that you'll,
that I will be a
supply
guinea pig?
annual report to the board, including GoPro still shots of
Okay,
the bottom.
okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Do we have a motion?
Yes.
I move to continue this to the 2nd of November.
For the submittal of the natural heritage.
For submittal of natural heritage, submittal of a
Supplemental
letter
narrative.
revising a few things in the narrative.
Second?
Second.
Second, Jamie.
November
You all set, Susie? Any other comments or questions from the board?
Yeah, I just have a comment. You probably don't have to come.
Oh, okay, the second.
If it comes in and you send it to Jen,
Okay,
I mean, you're busy.
yeah. Sounds good.
But you can always bring the baby back.
Yes, yes, in fact.
Baby.
And your
we would
wife.
encourage that.
Crab
been the most entertainment we've had for months.
Yes, very nice.
Thank you,
Any
Gladys.
comments or questions from the public?
New-
Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Thank you very
Nice
much.
presentation, Gladys.
Yes.
All right.
So nice to have somebody like that give a presentation.
Next up is Ronald and Kathleen
Working on it,
Mannion.
Courtney.
161 Shorewood Drive, East Falmouth, Mass. Permission to raise and remove parts of the existing house and deck and rebuild, adding a new porch and several additions, install a new Title V sewage disposal system, utilities, drywalls, driveway, native mitigation plantings, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll save any of my comments until after Mr. Bragel's presentation.
Good evening.
My name's Ken Breivogel, I'm with the firm of Jack Planners Calling. We're representing the applicants, Mr. and Mrs. Mannion, for the project. The project located at 161 Shorewood Drive, East Falmouth. And the lot is a rectangular lot, 230 feet, 50 feet wide. Bordered on the west by Great Pond, on the east by Shorewood Drive, on north and south by single-family houses. There's a single-family house on the lot now. What's being proposed is to tear down and reconstruct part of the existing house, which is shown in brown here, and also to add new additions to the house, a new deck, expanded bathroom, and a new bedroom. Also, we're going to abandon the old cesspool and install a new Title V septic system, which will be located here, shown in yellow. We're also going to remove this patio and this small walkway. The existing driveway, shown in black, will remain where it is. The resource areas that are involved in the project, the salt marsh, which is shown here, this yellow line here. 100-foot buffer for the salt marsh is the red line that goes through the middle of the house. That's the most restrictive for the A zone. We also have land under ocean bodies, we have land containing shellfish, we have a beach, a small beach here. We have land containing freshwater habitat. We have top of the coastal bank here. 100 feet from the top of the coastal bank is shown by this line here, which is the maximum D zone buffer. So we've done the calculations. There's a very small increase in the A zone for structures, which amounts to 3.1 square feet mitigation, 9.3 feet. And with the additional walkway and additional structures for the house and the B zone, that comes out to 282.4 feet times 2, so the total mitigation would be 564.8 feet. So we're proposing a total of 600 square feet in mitigation, which will be closest to the water, this area shown in green here. So I'll take any questions.
Jen?
Yes, Ken, just some of my questions, I don't really have any concern with the proposed the construction part of your proposed project. I do have some comments on the planting part of it. One of them is that beach area that's out there, and Russell can attest, we were looking at the aerials, that kind of appeared,
Yes,
recently, like after 2011, any explanation? I mean, it was a perfectly healthy salt marsh, pictures don't lie, and then all of a sudden it was a beach. So, I have some concerns with that, so I'd like you to look into that. And the other thing is, there also that area looks like it used to be a little bit more vegetated than it is now. So I'd like you to go back and look at the aerials on that and then readjust your plantings accordingly. You may need to replant for vegetation that was removed or is no longer there, that was there before in jurisdiction. And then, so, just do a little bit more research on that.
Sure. Approximately what date are the aerials that you're?
Well, the aerials that I was looking at in the town are 2005, 2009, 2011, and 2014. And those can be accessed right from the GIS. Just go on to the town website,
Okay.
and you can access those. So just take a look at those, and if you want to come in and we can talk about it, that'd be fine.
I personally was not aware of any alterations that recently.
Yeah.
Maybe Mr. Colley has some knowledge.
Aerials don't lie, but anyway, I'm just the plants, I do have some concern with, just given the salt spray that's gonna be in that area. So I might modify your plantings a bit for you, just because
We're
I
happy to
hate you
modify
to
the plantings
plant
to whatever you would
something
like.
and then it dies because it's just not the perfect environment for it. So instead of replanting, you know what I mean? Let's put something in there that's gonna survive. So you're not doing it over and over again.
If I may, I'm Steve Cook from Couture Bay Design. I'm the project designer.
Okay,
The clients, the Manions are in the back of the room here with us. They purchased the house in 2006.
okay.
So whatever was in 2005 was.
Well, it looked
done
pretty
by
stable. It
previous
looked like
owner.
a salt marsh in 2005. It kind of looked like a salt marsh in 2009.
Okay.
So it's, like I said, it's from 2011 till now. So you may want to just look at those aerials. Your clients may want to look at those aerials and just come up with an explanation, because you have a pretty stable salt marsh all along that shoreline, and then you have a beach here. So, and I did notice boats and everything. So if you're dragging boats across the marsh, it is going to erode, and that's going to have to be mitigated for. If there's been damage to the salt marsh, so, and it looks like there has been. But like I said, we'll work with Carl and look at the aerials and see. And we may have to adjust, like I said, some of that planting to add plantings that were there that aren't there now, and then come up with a species list that's a little bit more appropriate for this area. But other than those small things, I don't have any concerns with the construction part of the project. And Jack, I did get your BBW sheet. Thank you. I just, you know what it was, is like, because they came in after I grabbed my stuff and I ran out the door, then Mark was asking me, and we were both out in the field at different places, and then he came and he didn't have them, and I was like, well, did we get them?
Well,
So-
thank you for saying that. Yeah, for the record, my name's Jack, his colleague. We did meet with Mark, and Mark did say he didn't like a couple of the species. We didn't change the plan because I figured there'd be one change you would ask us, and rather than change it twice, I'd rather change it once.
Yeah, so we can
And-
sit down with you and look at the aerials and go over areas that we think are concerns.
Okay, and the
Okay.
second thing I wanted to mention was, we didn't show dry wells because I'm gonna blame Steve. He was on vacation, and I didn't have the architectural, so I didn't know where to put them. But we fully intend to add, based on my conversation with him tonight, we're gonna be adding 3 dry wells, which is a requirement this board has anyways.
Throwing somebody else under the bus, Jack?
Sure.
All set, Jen?
Yes.
Okay. Mary?
No questions.
Maureen?
No questions, I'm sure Jen will figure out that salt marsh issue.
No question.
What? Thank you. Betsy?
So when you come back to see us.
This is where I
about the
met
dry
Betsy
wells,
today, it's on this side.
We'll have to drive this on the plan.
Perfect.
PLC.
Right.
Oh, yeah, one other question. There was, when we were out there was a boat on.
That's what I'm thinking,
On the
is that
marsh.
marsh just over the years from taking the dinghy back and forth.
Could have resulted in why it died, but the fact is, boats shouldn't be stored there anyway.
It's a class boat.
Okay.
So you'll pass the word back that boats aren't supposed to be stored there?
Well, I think we could work out, we need a pathway to the water through there. So I think we could work out some sort of pathway where the boat either can be stored higher up and brought through that path to the water.
Well,
it's
see, the
just
problem
another road.
is that it used to be a healthy functioning salt marsh, and now it's not because it was damaged by whatever activity. So what you're asking for is instead of putting the functioning healthy salt marsh back, you want to leave a path, which wouldn't have been there anyway.
Well, the
So
mud,
that is an issue with this board and one we'll have to talk about,
right.
okay?
Yeah.
You absolutely, your clients have waterfront property, they can access the water. Do they have the right to drive a boat across the salt marsh and destroy the salt marsh? No. Sorry. Pick up the boat, don't drag the boat.
Oh, well, yeah, that's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's drag, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's gotta be some sort of pedestrian access through that area, whether you.
Pedestrian access,
Yeah, whether you
yes.
carry in a boat.
Dragging
Not
it
dragging
across
it.
the marsh, which is probably what happened to it. Look what happened, now we'll be putting a salt marsh back, so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm done.
Thanks, Betsy. Jamie?
Got nothing.
Mark?
No questions.
Okay. What's your pleasure?
Ken, when do you think you can meet with us? Next week, the week after?
Next week.
Next week, and then you get a plan to me by the 2nd, we'll put you on the 9th? Seems to be a popular date tonight.
The 9th is the next meeting?
No, two weeks.
We have the 26th, the 2nd, and the 9th. I'm saying if we meet with you at some point next week, then you are not required to get a plan in by Wednesday of next week, so you can get it to us by the Wednesday of the following week, and then that gives a week in advance for these guys, and you'd have the 9th.
I like that.
Doesn't that sound perfect?
At the request of the applicant, I make a motion to continue to November 9th.
Second.
Got a motion by Betsy, a second by
Because I can already tell you,
Mary.
Jack, that Monday my schedule's crazy.
Any other comments, questions from the board?
Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
Comments, questions
Just
from the
trying to
board?
help you out.
Comments, questions from the public? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote to continue to November 9th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstention, unanimous, so moved.
Jack, have your office call me tomorrow, we'll set up a meeting right away in case my schedule gets full, and we can meet with all parties involved, it doesn't matter to me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
All right, continue request for a hearing under a notice of intent. Steve and Mary Kramer, 60 Roll Road, East Falmouth, Mass. Permission to raise, R-A-Z-E, the existing dwelling and construct a single-family, four-bedroom house with an attached three-car garage, porches, install paver driveway, shed, Title V sewage disposal system, utilities, dry wells, native mitigation plantings, replant existing path, and create a new path with a stairway and platform and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
We're all on the forum.
Or is everybody okay?
Thanks.
One thing before Mike starts, you have a plan in front of you that came in today. That plan is identical to the plan, well, not identical, but it's the same planting plan and everything as the one you were given last week on the 12th. The only thing is it shows an additional dashed or, I don't know, dashed or and/or solid property line because there's, the property line is in dispute right now.
Okay.
That might have been a hard way to put it, there's just some question about the property line. So that's what the new plan is for everybody that's saying, why do you have a plan in front of you? I figured I wasn't gonna let Mike flounder on that one.
Have a bond.
Okay. Good evening, Mike.
Mr. Chairman, good evening, members of the commission. My name is Michael Borselli from Falmouth Engineering, and I represent the applicant. The applicants, Stephen and Mary Kramer, are here this evening. I'm also joined by Teresa Sprague from Blue Flags Design. At the last meeting, we fully described the project, got feedback from you folks, we answered questions. We had, at the time of the last meeting, very recently, I think the morning of the hearing, did a site visit with Jen, might have been the day before, to just clarify a couple of things on the site. And there was a suggestion that we alter the shape of the mitigation. So the only real change to the plan is the shape of the mitigation area that we're required to do. And that is shown in general on the revised plan from my office and more specifically on the plan by Teresa. I'll leave that to Teresa to describe. The project in every other way remains the same. There were no other issues or questions from you folks, except I believe one question from Lori about if you considered a denitrifying septic system. And we further considered and continue to believe that any impact from our septic would be de minimis, so we're not proposing any demat septic system. If you need further details on that, Mr. Kramer's here to, he's an expert in soils and would describe why it's de minimis, but that being said, it's more than 200 feet from the edge of the pond and an outside jurisdiction. The plan that you got today shows two opinions on the property line. They vary somewhat, on average about 3 feet in variation. None of the work we're proposing is in the area where the difference of opinion occurs. The regulations state in both the, I believe it, I know at the state level and as a general condition in all orders and conditions that you're not supposed to concern yourself with property line matters, and I think Jen knows that, and I think she concur with me on that.
What was it? I was listening, sort of, Mike. I'm trying to blank out the noise behind me over there.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Teresa.
Is it the property line dispute? We're not gonna get into that.
Yeah, I don't characterize it as a dispute.
It's not a dispute, that's the wrong word, it's just,
It's an opinion, sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah,
for
close the
old
door.
plans and
No, you can't.
You
do
can't
that.
close the
Yeah.
door.
Yeah.
They have to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
quiet.
Open.
it's okay, guys.
Will we get in trouble for everything else?
I would never let you get in trouble for that. I blame Sam not moving fast enough.
So there's oftentimes differences of opinions from old deeds and old plans that are vague, and this is what this is. So because of that, we honored the more
Thank you, Sam.
restrictive line, and the plan I submitted demonstrates to you all, it's on our plan, it's on the plan by Teresa, that none of our work is in the, what I've now come to describe as the demilitarized zone. So there's nothing.
We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
let's not.
Let's go on.
Let's
We
not.
got 15 minutes before Mr. Bird's staging a walkout to watch the debate,
So
so.
I'm done with my presentation. I'm here to answer questions, and I'll turn it over to Teresa.
Thanks, Mike.
One quick thing, Teresa, I did send you an email today. Teresa sent it to me last week, and I apologize, I forwarded it to you today.
Right,
It
we got it.
was her information on her composite blowout mulch
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, for lack of a better
I
term.
brought some images of the project which Adam had.
Thank
I'd
you.
be
Got
happy
it?
to pass around. One thing that I wanted to show, and I'll pass these images around, but you'll see
Oh, wait a
an
second.
area where we had actually done some more significant clearing. It's the area that we were using to winch the invasive material up off the bank so that we didn't have to bring any equipment down onto the salt marsh or the beach. And I'll pass that around. You'll notice there's a significant amount of what looks like debris on the bank, and that's actually done by design. So some of the vegetation that we cut, we actually used as almost like a scaffolding for the blown-in compost mulch material. One image that I wanted to share with you, this is this interesting spot because we have an image of, we just had that recent king tide. So I went out and took a photo of what our project site looked like during that high tide period. I know it looks a little messy. And then right abutting our project area is another project where a more traditional fiber roll core log installation was done. And you can see that we were, by this method, we were allowed to leave a significant amount of native vegetation on the bank. So we feel that the bank, even in a tide such as this, is really stable. Since this compost mulch application was applied, we had on October 1st a 3-inch rainfall event in Chatham, and we've literally had no movement whatsoever. We're getting excellent germination. So I'll pass these photos around. In addition to that, I do have some information from Mass DOT, and you can probably don't want to really hear that tonight, but I also have hard copies of the
We have
Betsy,
those
can
on.
you make sure that she put one in the file? And
Yeah.
Courtney's really good. Just make sure there's a hard copy in the
I'll put
file.
another one in.
Okay, so there's these photos added to the data
Thank you, Teresa.
as well. So the only other changes we made to the plan after walking the site with Jennifer the Friday after the hearing, we reconfigured the mitigation planting area. We kind of changed the line of the edge of wooded area and then redesigned the mitigation area. So there's 2,160 square feet of shrub planting, which includes 117 shrubs, 500 plugs. The American hollies that we were proposing to replace the 6 trees that are being removed for the construction project are remaining on that northern property line. We made some minor adjustments based on Mike's changes to the property line on the plan. But other than that, the 6 American hollies, we did move them a little further west. There were some concerns with the abutter to the north that there would be some blocking of his views. So we would move the American hollies a little further to the west. But other than that, those were the only major plan changes.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Teresa.
Betsy?
Thank you, Teresa.
And Mike.
I'm good.
Mark?
No question.
Mary?
No questions. Thank you.
I have a question. In this analysis, it doesn't have anything about weed seed germination.
So I'll read, then I'll just very quickly read the information that I got from.
That's what we asked for.
The Mass DOT. Well, here's what I've come up with. This is what I have to write. In terms of invasive plants that would come down to heat killing the seeds, the temperature is checked regularly. They meet the heat requirements. Whether the heat is enough to kill all seeds, no one can really know. I can say that I do not see invasive plants in this compost. I don't see many weeds at all. And then there's an example I have from Mass DOT of a test plot that I could share with you, a photograph. So the answer is that there's no such thing as a weed-free compost. I think we can all agree with that. The temperatures meet standards for killing weed seed. However, nobody can guarantee that there's no weed seed. This is a test plot. The plot in the middle is showing this compost mulch that's grown in, and these are native plant species. This here is a Curelex system, and it's all weeds, mugwort, etc. And then this was another typical jute, and there's just no germination at all. So that's the main thing that I can provide. As far as, saying that there's absolutely no weed seed, I think that's impossible with any compost mix to state. However, in the experience of people who have been using this product, there have been no invasive species issues with this particular product. I do have some other additional information, again, that I'd be happy to hand out to you regarding this product and how it's been used. So would you like to have it as well?
It would be really helpful also if you put what these are and where they are, because they're really beautiful, but they could be anywhere, anyhow,
They're
USA.
all, and if anybody wanted to visit the site, I'd be happy to walk the site. They're all on Stage Island, that Stage Harbor in North Chatham. In Chatham.
Teresa, if you
Teresa.
didn't mind, could you take a few minutes afterwards and just
Sure.
label those?
Yeah, it just,
Absolutely.
I mean, it just could be
Yeah,
anywhere. I mean, it's when they take a
absolutely.
picture of a
Yeah, I
dry
completely
well.
understand what you're saying.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, really, a tree in the forest, it's that one.
I was just
You know.
gonna give that example, because Mark does that to me all the
I
time.
know,
Look at
and a
this tree
stump, look at the stump, I'm telling you. I'm not against the mulching, I think it'll be interesting, and I think this project will be a good project to see how it works.
Yeah.
I am always fearful. This is a product sold by a person that is making money off of a product.
Yes.
That little test spot, again, that could be anywhere USA, it doesn't really tell you anything. So this might become the test spot, because obviously we always make you do the 3-year monitoring or whatever.
Absolutely.
So it's not a bad thing, it's just we're erring on the side of caution. I'm very disappointed, and I would love to talk to the owner about the denitrifying system, because if he has information on how this won't have an impact and it's not an improvement, replacement, or it's an improvement, I would love to hear that, because I'm curious as all get out on that one.
Tonight?
Yeah, he said he's gonna say why he didn't want to do the, sorry, but I asked for a denitrifying system. She stood right here and told us the reason the salt marsh was in decline is because of nitrogen. They're not doing anything to prevent the impact of nitrogen from their property, which would have been an improvement to the resource, and I was just wondering why.
Well, I'm not the septic expert, so I'm going to
Well, he's a soil expert and I'm not, so I'm curious.
Good evening, my name is Steve Kramer. Together with my wife Mary, we own 64 of the property. I don't believe Mike said that I feel there will be no impact. It's impossible to know how much impact there will be, but if you use the results of the 2007 Stearns and Wheeler evaluation of Bourne Pond, our site, if all of the nitrogen that's calculated by using DEP ratios in production of nitrogen for the typical home and the typical 120 gallons a day effluent, et cetera. If you go through those calculations, this home, the septic system, if it was a conventional septic system, and then it was substituted with a nitrogen-reducing system, would produce about 1/7,000th of the change in the nitrogen load of Bourne Pond. What Mike, I believe, said was it would be a de minimis effect. In my opinion, less than 100% or 100th of 1% change is de minimis. There are 900 residential properties that contribute to the watershed of Bourne Pond. And so we're 100th of 1%, we're 10th of 1% of the residences, and the change would be 100th of 1% of the nitrogen loading that's been recorded or estimated for Bourne Pond. So as a 40-year experienced civil engineer, I consider that de minimis.
Yep. And it's always the straw that broke the camel's back. So we had a little pond in the nitrogen thing, and they all had the smelly place in front of them, and then they wanted us to make it better. So we're just trying to ask the people that are in these areas to contribute.
I understand. Mary and I are investing about $40,000 in the mitigation, in the bank restoration, in the various consulting fees associated with it on this project.
Because you have to.
And frankly, to add the $20,000 or $30,000 that would cost for that system, and then its maintenance twice a year for the next, hopefully, many years that we're citizens of Falmouth, considering the beneficial effect, I do consider it de minimis. And Mary and I care deeply about Bourne Pond. We love Bourne Pond. We've been attracted to Bourne Pond for 10 years. We've owned this property now for almost 6 years. We've had a vision of living here, and we definitely want to do what we can do and what we feel is reasonable to do, and we're trying to do that. The effect of our system would have less than 1/1000th of an effect as widening the entrance to Bourne Pond, which is planned. I mean, we're talking about such
I'm all set now. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
I have one question, Mr. Kramer. You are investing a lot of money in mitigation because
Did
you're
you have
also
to?
increasing substantially the amount of impervious surface within the commission's jurisdiction. So,
You're not
No, we're not
donating it.
complaining.
I understand
You're
that,
not-
but,
We feel
You're
an
not
obligation
donating.
to do it.
yeah, you
Well,
are obligated
You
to
are
do it.
obligated. You're
We
not.
are, and we're
And
glad to do it. And
Your
we're planning-
mitigation calculation or expense could have gone way down if the structure was reduced in size.
No
so-
question. I'm not complaining about the
Okay.
cost. I'm just telling you,
Yes, you are.
we're investing significantly, and I'm comparing the additional investment to the benefit. That's all I'm saying.
I'm going to make a motion to close this hearing and take it
Second.
under advisement.
Thanks, Betsy.
You see,
Motion by
Brasco,
Betsy.
you don't tell
Who
me.
Maureen.
seconded that? Maureen?
I seconded it.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions from the board? Questions or comments from the public? Okay, hearing, yeah, we have a motion, a second on the table. We'll call for a vote to close the hearing and take it under advisement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Where's Teresa? Teresa, we're going to come check this project out. I'm curious to see. This is really
Thank you.
going to be interesting.
I think it's really
Yeah, and
Did you
that's
label
all
those
marked
for me,
enough.
Teresa?
Yep,
Thank
there's
you.
addresses on all of those. If anybody would like to come visit the site, I'd be happy to give you a tour of Chattanooga.
Thanks, Teresa.
How long's it been there, Teresa?
It's The installation, we did, we just did the bark mulch installation about September, so it's only been a month now.
Okay, so there's no legal.
But we've already
So
done.
spring would be the time to go see it, right?
Yes.
The stuff must be coming up then.
Yep, we've already got your
We-
information,
Cool. All right,
say
continued
that.
enforcement issues. I'm not gonna read all these, I'm just gonna read the name and the address, because they've already been run into the record. Edward P. Strout, 215 Sipwisset Road, Cape Cod Road. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is one of two properties owned by the applicant and the other one's by the applicants, property owners and trustees. This one, we have been working with the applicant's representative. They are 70% done with our restoration plan. This is to deal with some significantly older enforcement issues that were never dealt with. So right now, I would like the board, or I recommend to the board, that we issue an enforcement order with a restoration plan submitted to us in accordance with the enforcement order, which will be submit the plan, existing conditions plan, monitoring plan, invasive species management plan, because the plan will incorporate some of that, and a restoration plan within 60 days.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so motion by Mary, second by Betsy. Any other comments or questions from the board? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. All right, Strout Falmouth Trust, care of Edward P. Strout, trustee.
Yeah, this is lot
Sipwisset Road.
76. I am still working with the applicant's representative on this one. I've had some discussions with your council. I need to get back with the applicant's representative on this. I would recommend a continuance till November 9th. Is that up? So that I can, continue.
So moved.
Thank you.
How many
Second.
things do we got going on November 9th here?
It was a popular day.
I know, that's what I'm concerned about.
One of
Well,
them
it's
was
also
the
the
second.
day, the
Oh,
last
okay.
hearing between, you're not meeting for 2 weeks because of Thanksgiving and town
meeting.
meetings.
Okay, gotcha.
Will be tortured.
But we'll gather up all of the info tomorrow and then we'll restrict the number of notices we take.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Lori.
Courtney, I got
Okay.
1 minute.
Any other comments or questions?
But I can do this.
Comments,
Actually,
questions from the
5.
public? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved.
Night, Bob.
Jane and Robert Furr, 22 and 26 Shore View Ave.
Take the next two together, Mr. Chairman.
And Jane and Robert Furr, 26 Shore View Ave, Lot 504.
Yes, this was part of the enforcement issues out on Shorewood. These properties were pretty much the most egregious ones. The one for building upon, I believe has been, I think we're confident that what we thought was a dock on the property is not on that property, but the top one, there is a significant wetland violation on that property. We did attempt to contact them via certified mail and regular mail to the legal mailing address listed with the town of Falmouth. That was returned to us after several tries. Pat Harris said that we did fulfill our legal obligation in attempting to notify them, but out of an abundance of caution, we found another address in East Falmouth. It's not their legal mailing address, but we sent a letter to them, so I would just recommend let's put this one off until next week, and if I don't hear from them, issue an enforcement order. They're required to do the restoration plan within a certain period of time, and if there's no answer, we will refer the matter automatically to council.
I move that we continue until next week.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Betsy and a second by Maury. Comments or questions from the board? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote to continue to October 26th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, moved.
You can take all the rest of them together.
Yeah. And there's 10 of them, so Fred and Catherine Ravens, lot 531. Cardozo Reese Construction, and that's lots 531, 535, 536, 537, 538, 539, 540, and 541 and 542.
And,
Oops.
And
oh, 22
Oh,
and
and 22 and
26.
26. Thank you. Ellen Davis, trustee, this is 32 Emerson Road. William and Cecile.
No,
An-
lot,
Lot
what did I do?
535.
Oh,
lot. All you have to do is say lot 535.
Lot 535. Okay. William and Cecile Coffey, lot 536. Judith and Peter and Judith Hurwitz, lot 537. Michael and Amy McGrath, lot 538. Michael and Michelle Banks, lot 539. Janet Meal and Janet Meal Revocable Trust, lot 540. And William Collins, lot 541. Michael and Kathleen Miller, lot 542. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we went out, Mark and I went out today and took a bunch of photos.
And these were the property owners that got back to you and gave you
Yeah,
permission
we
to
got
go on the
permission, I
property and
think, from
everything.
like,
Cooperated.
8%, like a bunch of them. Basically, the vegetation outside of the buffer vegetation was cut. There is an existing path through one of the properties that the board allowed to remain way back when. Unfortunately, it has been getting wider and it is being used as a boat launching, because there's trailer marks in there. So what we would do to deal with the cutting issue here is I would recommend to file an enforcement order, get a proper survey of the property, so we don't have a proper survey, a wetland survey of the property. That said, and then to file a vegetation management, maintenance and monitoring plan with the commission so we don't have this happen again, that we get, annual monitoring reports. Given that there's 9 strips of land, when we issue these individual enforcement orders, we'll probably prepare a cover letter urging the property owners to work together to come to the survey, so we don't have individual surveys of these little strips of land. That one survey is submitted to the board. It would just be to the advantage of all the property owners out there, but that's going to be their decision. But again,
Do you want a date?
yeah, so we'll issue that, and I'd say give them 60 days
So moved.
from the date of
Second.
issuance. That said, there is one in here that is not going to be subject to that. It's the Cardozo Reese Construction. They were the company that actually did the cutting, and I would ask that town council send the company a very strongly worded letter, because they're not a property owner, that this type of activity in wetlands jurisdiction will not be tolerated, and if their company
So
is.
moved.
Thank you.
Second.
So we're removing them from the 10, in other words, so
Yeah,
we're going
removing them
9,
from
right?
a 10, they get a council
Okay.
letter, and the rest of them get an enforcement, 60
Okay.
days. And, we'll write a cover letter urging them to work together, it's just to their
So
advantage.
that's what my motion is.
Yes,
9
second.
plus 1.
Motion by Betsy and a second by,
Can I
No,
get that
well, I didn't
motion?
second it.
Okay, the
just had a
motion
question.
is that property owners are going to get an enforcement order, and it has a 60-day limit for the things that Jen mentioned have to be done. And the company who did the cutting is going to get a strongly worded letter from Attorney Harris explaining that you're not supposed to cut in wetlands.
I'll get to your question, I just want to get a motion, we got a motion by Betsy. Who was the second? Mary. Okay.
So my question is, there's no mechanism currently to be able to find,
I will check with that, and if there is a mechanism for a fine, I'll bring that back before you.
okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask? Oh.
Sure.
Jen, can you also check with Pat Harris about whether either she or we, if we issue strongly worded letters to the violators, companies who are violating the Wetlands Protection Act, whether that can go in some kind of file where I guess the selectmen have to issue permits. I suspect that's in the selectmen's office.
Okay. Licensed to work in town.
Yeah, 3 strikes.
All right, anything else? Okay, I'm gonna call for the vote, then we have a motion and a second. This, for the enforcement order, 60 days to comply. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Very good, thank you.
No comment from the public?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Reopen it real quick.
Yeah.
Make a
Reopen.
motion.
Make a motion to reopen.
I make a motion to reopen.
Thank you.
Second.
Sorry.
Hang on, wait, 1 second, let Susan catch up.
Yeah, it was my fault.
Okay.
My name is William Sullivan. I live in the subdivision where this violation has occurred. My question is, what are the repercussions of this? I know it's already been done, the damage has been done. It eliminated habitat for tremendous number of birds and critters. Is the commission going to require that to be redone?
Well, the area in question that we're talking about, the little strips of land near that foundation
I know where it is,
part,
yeah.
right? Not where it's all lawn, but where the
Where
little
it's what?
where it's all lawn at the end of that road.
I know where it is, yeah. Sure.
Okay, that
I'm
area.
talking about where the foundation.
Yeah, where the foundation is. The root systems of those plants are still intact. So they basically took a mower and just cut the tops of the plants off. And if the board were to require restoration, we'd have to remove all of the plants that are currently there and replace them. So what we're asking the property owners to do is to basically file a habitat management plan. Basically, a plan that's going to tell us you're going to manage the property this way, you're going to monitor it, you're not going to cut it, you're going to control invasive species so that these plants that are still, the root systems are still intact, will be able to regenerate and grow into a healthy buffer.
Well, I think
That's the best thing to do in this
over a
area.
period of time, I think those plants will regenerate.
Yes.
But the foundation is just an eyesore.
The foundation is there, it's been there.
I know it is, yeah.
It would be up to the board of
But the
whether or
plant-
not they want that.
But the
to remove.
plantings that were there,
Once the plantings
couldn't
grow
see
back
it.
up, you'll never see the foundation again. But
it had already grown back up.
I understand that, sir. And we're going to monitor it. We'll require them to submit annual monitoring reports to us so that we know that it's not being mowed down again.
I would have thought that the property owner or owners who affected the cutting would have checked with the Conservation Commission to find out.
A lot of the
They know what wetlands are.
Oh, yes, they do. A lot of the property owners, the person that did the work was hired by 2 of the property owners. I'm not even quite sure some of the property owners were aware it was being done on their property.
I'm fairly certain that they were not aware of it.
I am trying to come up with the best way to manage this violation, move forward, so that no more damage is done to that area. My goal is to restore the habitat function, and this is after consulting with my agent, who's a wildlife habitat expert, and everything else. This is the best way we feel, it's the best way to move forward.
I understand.
Now, the properties that are completely lawn will have full-scale restoration, you'll see plants being put back into the ground and everything else. It will not remain lawn.
I know you can't unring the bell. However, the contractors that did the work should have known better.
I think I scared the contractor when he came into my office, yes.
Scare them. One way to scare them is to fine them.
Yes, and I'm going to be looking into it as Mr. Byrd has asked me to.
I mean, not $1,000 or whatever it is. Make it hurt.
We run into this a lot, sir.
Yes, and
Yeah.
we're going to
We-
look
we-
into that,
There are
sir,
limits on
and-
what
but
we can do.
Exactly.
I understand.
It's frustrating for us as well
Yeah.
as for you.
Believe me.
I'm
Yes.
sure it is, I know.
Yep.
I'm sure it is. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Oops.
I want to get back into the debate too. But I did have one question, and I think you
You have
answered
to
it.
tell us who you are,
Oh, I'm
though.
sorry, my name is Tom Pender, I've been a resident of that area for 35 years, and I'm a lot owner,
1 second, sir.
544.
What's your last name, sir?
Pender, Pender.
Thank you.
Um,
She types fast, but sometimes not that fast.
okay. I've been a homeowner in that area for 35 years, and a lot owner for the past, I guess, 5 years.
Are you on that little strip, sir?
No, I'm on 544, I'm not affected by.
Oh, I think you were on the other side. Were
I'm
you
on-
here 2 weeks ago?
I was, yes.
Okay, yeah, I think I looked on the other side of
I
the
think,
path.
I think you did answer it.
Yeah.
These people have been cutting grass. I think the people, the firs, as well as other people have been cutting this grass. You are going to make them replant there?
Restore that area.
Yes,
There was-
that has been continued to next week because those are the people that sent back my certified letter, so I'm trying one more time. Our council, as I stated earlier, says that we have fulfilled our legal obligation in attempting to notify them with their legal address on record. If I do not hear from them by next week, I'm going to recommend a full-scale restoration plan be submitted to this office within 60 days. If that does not happen, I'm going to turn the matter over to my council, and trust me, they are very effective.
Well,
Once they get.
I appreciate that, and we all in that area do appreciate it, but
Thank you, sir.
they're out there with lawnmowers all the time.
I understand, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your
If you
concern.
see it again, maybe drop a dime and
Just
just,
give me a
call the
call.
office or something, let us know.
One of them's a rider more.
My wife spoke to you.
Take some pictures.
Yeah, take a
Well,
picture.
My wife, I think, spoke to you really about some
Oh,
activity
Mr.
down
Sullivan.
in,
Yes, we did speak to your
Irving.
wife today, yes. Yes, we did.
where does that stand?
What was that?
Where does that stand?
It's not on the
I
agenda.
didn't hear you, I was.
Is this a different matter?
No, I spoke to his
No,
wife
it's all
today.
part of the same
Oh.
issue. No. And it was L&B tree service.
Yes, I have to talk to my agent about that. I left him out there to look at that, and we've been passing each other all day, but it is on my list of things to talk to him about. The property's a couple streets down, a couple houses down, yes.
It's not happening.
Yeah, it's around the little.
Yep.
Come on, Bill.
Okay.
All right.
Good night, gentlemen. Thank
Anybody
you.
else? Okay, now we can,
So I go back to closing this and
Yes.
and opening up the motion again, so we
Thank
can
you.
vote on it. I don't think we voted, have we?
We didn't vote, no.
Okay, well, I make,
you did vote.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
we
right,
did,
we
and
did
then we had
vote.
to
That's-
open it again. You're right.
You're right.
You're right, Susan.
You're right,
so now we have to vote it again,
right.
Close the hearing.
all right,
okay?
have us vote.
We have to close the hearing.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Extensions unanimous, so moved. Okay. All right, other business.
Boy Scouts can camp, it's the same thing that we always,
Every
they have
year.
to clean up, if they need to get a fire
Yeah,
permit, they
Troop
need to
40
get a
from
fire
St.
permit.
Barnabas Church would like to use the Deer Pond parcel for a scheduled camp out this weekend for approximately 24 Boy Scouts. Oh my goodness. Camping for 2 nights, learning cooking skills, orienting, rope tying, and camping skills. They'll be utilizing the area off a lower road and be leaving Sunday morning. The practice for them is to employ zero-impact camping practices and to minimize our outings footprints on site. Please acknowledge your support for this upcoming activity. Thank you, Mike Duffy.
We support it, and I make a motion that they can do it.
We approve it.
And
Second.
that they leave it cleaner than they find it.
Yes.
Motion by Betsy and a second by Mary. Comments or questions? Comments, questions to the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. 4 Nichols Road, Maderi.
That's the wall.
Sorry, I'm not on this one.
No.
Who's on that one?
Who is on
I
it?
don't know who's on it.
I know.
Is Courtney on it?
Courtney, yeah, you are. And I need you because Kristen's not here. Mark, Jamie, Mary, Russ, Mark, Jamie, Mary, and Rob, and Courtney.
Yeah, I didn't.
Bye, everybody. Love you.
Bye-bye.
Believe you.
I'm not on it either, sorry.
Good night.
Sorry.
No need to be sorry.
This is just the wall.
If she had to stay, it wouldn't help us, so.
This is the wall.
Yes.
So, I don't have my thing in front of me. I don't remember any real conditions. They're accessing through town property. They're going to be talking to the town to get permission to access the
Yeah, they need
site
to go
through
us
town.
first. And then they go
And
to
they're gonna be
selectmen.
doing it systematically. They're not taking the whole wall down or not.
It was land, they're gonna put the sheeting landward of the wall.
Right.
Yep.
The existing wall only removed to grade, no excavation to the footing.
No excavation to the footing, you're right. Thank you.
Disturbed spots must be dealt with supplemental sand sites.
What was that, Jamie?
Any disturbed spots must be dealt with supplemental sand fill.
Oh, yeah, on the dune part in the back end.
Mhm.
All right, footing. Kind of like we did out on the one on Edgewater, yeah, supplement the night, Maury.
I don't have anything
Yeah,
else.
so we'll do that, add sand and beach plantings. Okay.
Anything else?
I don't have anything else.
As per the general notes, blah, blah, blah.
Um,
I think that was it, right?
When did we close this? Oh, got
I
it.
move to issue the approval order as discussed.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. That's motion by Mary, second by Courtney. Any other comments, questions? This hearing's closed, so I can't open to the public. It's closed, I can't go to the public.
We just want to thank you.
Oh, we haven't voted yet.
Okay, I'm gonna call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by
Courtney, how
Lori,
fast can you run
by
out?
Mary,
Pretty fast.
seconded by Courtney. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Probably not.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions
You have
unanimous, so
fun,
moved.
though.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think I was gonna make it.